Everybody knows it's a video game's job to entertain the player and keep them engaged. Most games will do this by having an interesting story and characters, or intricate map design, and Dead Cells doesn't do that. Okay, I shouldn't say that it doesn't have an interesting character and story, or it doesn't have an intricate map design. It just doesn't focus on those things. I have over 10 hours in this game, and I still have no idea plot-wise what on earth is going on. Instead, it focuses on gameplay above all else, without creating a story that I care about in the slightest. Now, that doesn't mean gameplay is the only thing this game does well. No, sir. I could spend the next 15 minutes rambling to you about how awesome the art direction in this game is, because it's really just 3D models that I turned into pixel art, and god damn it, the art design in this game is so goddamn cool. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to figure out what makes Dead Cells and other roguelikes so addicting to play. Now, to start, I should probably explain to you what a Dead Cells even is, and it's a whole lot more complicated than it needs to be, but yeah, I'll try. To start, it's a mix between two genres, roguelike and Metroidvania. And there's a slight chance you might still have absolutely no idea what on earth I'm even talking about, so I'll read you the genre's definitions. Roguelike is a subgenre of role-playing video games characterized by a dungeon crawl through procedurally generated levels, turn-based gameplay, tile-based graphics, and permanent death of the player character. Basically, everyone is different, and if you die, no redos. A Metroidvania is a subgenre of action-adventure games. The term is a portmanteau of the game series Metroid and Castlevania. Metroidvania games use game design and mechanics that are similar to the games of these two series. Basically, ability-based exploration and combat. It's definitely more of a roguelike than a Metroidvania, but that should give you a basic idea of what it is. Essentially, you explore randomly generated areas to collect loot and weapons that help you on your journey. And then when you die, you lose all your stuff and restart. Doesn't that just sound fun? The weird part is that it is. Its difficulty is actually one of the biggest reasons why it's so addicting. Dead Cells is a hard game. It's not Dark Souls hard, but it still puts up a fair challenge. Its gameplay loop is literally you die and respawn over and over again until you get lucky to get overpowered weapons. At least, it seems that way at first. When you die, it's frustrating, right? I mean, you failed. How on earth could you possibly feel good about that? God damn it, I hate this game, it's so unfair! No. One of the first things you pick up on after you play this game is that 99.999% of the time when you die, it's your fault. I mean, sure, sometimes there's like a cheap enemy or a mechanic, but other than that rare occurrence, it's all on you. Once you come to terms with this, death no longer feels like a punishment. Instead, it feels like a lesson that you need to learn in order to improve yourself. Example time, woo! Let's say that a tough enemy won't go down with a purple weapon, and it kills you, and then on your next run, you encounter it again, but this time, you use a red weapon, and you kill it instead. Good for you, you're learning. This is the real gameplay loop, and it really sticks its teeth into you, like the scary-ass shark I found. Another thing with improvement is that you get bonuses for completing areas quickly and killing things without getting hit, thus really drilling in the optimization of gameplay. After playing for a bit, you get into this zone where you're just clearing areas left and right, almost like you have your brain shut off. Being able to do this and predict what enemies are going to move and attack based off your jank memorization of their patterns is just so cool. The better you are, the more gameplay you have access to, and trust me, with this game, that's a great reward. Speaking of rewards, it's science time. Getting better in Dead Cells is very satisfying, but do you know why your brain feels satisfaction and motivation? Well, that's the job of your brain's reward system, and a quick Google search will tell you exactly what that is. So now it's time to read another long, boring definition. Let's go! The mesolimbic dopamine pathway is thought to play a primary role in the reward system. It connects the ventral tegmental area, VTA, one of the principal dopamine-producing areas in the brain, with the nucleus accumbens, an area found in the ventral striatum that is strongly associated with motivation and reward. Allow me to simplify. Basically, you do good, and the brain gives you the happy juice, which is also why so many people do drugs. So, yeah kids, don't do drugs, be a gamer. Now, difficulty isn't the only thing Dead Cells uses to drug you. It also has progression. You're probably wondering how on earth progression works in a game that restarts every time you die, and that's a very valid concern. You'll notice that every time you kill something, it drops cells, which are the game's main currency, and like everything else, you lose all your cells when you die, so you have to spend them during your run, before you get robbed by a dickhead with fire. How does that even work? The main purpose of these cells is to unlock upgrades and weapon and item blueprints that you find around a map, so that in your next run, you can use those weapons and items. And yes, doing this is also extremely satisfying. And since you're improving and unlocking things at a constant rate, your brain's also giving you the happy juice at a constant rate, which is just such a really cool loop when you look into it. And also, since runs can take anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour, you can hop on, do a couple of runs, and hop off. It's like you're doing shots of dopamine. Bartender, what are you doing? I can't even drink. So other than how weird this shark looks, what did we learn today? Well, turns out the reason that Dead Cells is so addicting is good game design. What? The gameplay loop is so satisfying that once you start playing, you don't want to stop, and before you know it, you really need to leave your room, son. Your mother and I miss you. Now quickly before I go, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, my crippling fear of failure. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.